Hey everybody, the Super Vader 400 here, back for another review, and this time, this is my full-length review of both of the Michael Bay produced Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies. Like I said, I can't stop I can't stop talking about these movies. I've seen the first film, the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film that was released August 8th of 2014. I've seen that film about 20 something times. I don't remember the exact number, but I watched that film a lot and I've seen it several times. And I've seen the sequel Out of the Shadows about 8 times. I love both of these films. The first film was a good was a good start and a good was a good start to this new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie franchise, and the sequel Out of the Shadows, which in my opinion is probably the best Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie ever, took everything that was good about the first one and made it even better, and everything that was bad, they improved it. Gonna start off with the very first film, the very first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film produced by Michael Bay. Back in 2010, when it was announced that Michael Bay will be producing the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, I was excited. But over time, my excitement turned to disappointment when I saw some of the changes he was making towards the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise, such as focusing more on the humans than the turtles, um, making Shredder Caucasian, making the Foot Clan soldiers, and various other changes like the turtles being superhumanly strong. Um, this is when I start. This is when my excitement turned to disappointment, and and I was totally against the movie. I was totally hateful and against the film up until I saw John Campia's AMC Theater, one of his shows on AMC Theater, and they show leaked shots of how the turtles would look in the newest Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film, and I was like, well, while everything else about the film doesn't look good, at least the turtles themselves, the title characters, at least they look good. So the film is at least something good to look at. Then, as more news about the film will be released, such as I started to become a little bit more positive towards the film when I saw more trailers, heard more news, such as them changing Shredder back to being a Japanese guy. I started to become a little bit more positive of the film, and I decided I was still gonna give it a shot because a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film is something I wanted, and I figured that this is back when I hated Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3. I actually like TMNT 3 now, but this is back when I hated TMNT 3, and I figured nothing nothing could be as bad as TMNT 3. So I was still gonna give this film the benefit of the doubt and go into the film with an open mind and see if it was good. Then of course, as the first trailer was released, I thought the first trailer was absolutely terrible. Apart from the turtles themselves, the first trailer was way too serious. It was way too serious for a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film. Now the following trailers and TV spots, they show more of the turtles, and they show more of the turtles acting like their traditional cartoon and comic book counterparts, and these trailers were much better. Then of course on Nickelodeon on Teen Nick they showed the Shell Shock music video by Wiz Khalifa, Ty Dolla Sign, and Juicy J, which also showed highlights of the Turtles and Shredder fighting. So this made me want to see the film more. Then this is when I became a supporter of the movie. When it was announced that if the first film had done well, they would include Casey Jones, Bebop and Rocksteady, and Krang in sequels. And right there, this is when I said, okay, I at least want the first film to at least be decent, so it can make a lot of money, and they can get Krang, Bebop, Rocksteady, and Casey in a sequel. I finally saw the 2014 film. This film was better than decent. Talk about exceeding my expectations. Every problem I had going into the film was either explained or corrected when I watched the film. I love this new rebooted incarnation of the Turtles. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the character designs of the Turtles. I love the character designs of the Turtles. They gave them clothes and cosmetics that best reflect their personality. That best reflect their personality. You got Leonardo, who was a samurai. You got Leonardo, who's like a samurai. Um, you got Michelangelo, the hipster. The hipster, he has the shades and the skateboard. You got Raphael, the hip hop gangster, thug type turtle. Then you got Donatello. You got yeah, Raphael with his cool do rag. Then you got Donatello with his the tech the tech guy, the tech guy with his cool goggles, and he also has a samurai shinobi look, just like Leonardo, Leonardo. Of the turtles, I think Leonardo and Donatello look the coolest. I like all of their appearance, but I think Donatello and Leonardo look the coolest of the turtles in the first film. And not only do I like not only do I like their clothes and cosmetics, I also like how they gave them different fighting styles to best represent their personality. You got Leonardo, you got Leonardo and Donatello, who are traditional martial artists. You got Michelangelo, the show off of the group. Then you got Raphael, because of his anger, the brawler of the group. So I like how not only they give them clothes and different cosmetics to best reflect their different contrasting personalities, but they also gave them different fighting styles. They also gave them different fighting styles. So yeah, I love that too. I also love Splinter, and I like how they in this version they got Splinter actually fighting. I kind of hated how in the original comics and the original TMNT movies you have a mutant rat and he doesn't really do much throughout the comics or films. So I'm glad they had Splinter doing much more in this film, doing much more in this film. And the one of the only things I didn't like about this film was them focusing more on the human characters over the turtles and the foot, when the turtles and the foot were the best things about the film, and the turtles are the reason I paid the ticket. But they managed to make the human stuff good. I love the humorous chemistry between Will Arnett, who portrayed Vern Fenwick, and Megan Fox, who portrayed April O'Neil. April O'Neil. Love the humorous exchange that was that managed to move the story along until the title characters, the turtles, appeared in the film. Every scene with the turtles was great. I love the new technology they used. Instead of putting guys in rubber suits, they got four actors. They got four actors: Pete Plozak, Alan Richson, and Noah Fisher and Jeremy Howard, who all portrayed Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, and Donatello respectively. And of course, Danny Woodburn portrayed Splinter, with of course Tony Shalhoub voicing him and Johnny Knoxville voicing Leonardo. In the sequel, they had the motion capture artist Pete Plozak. They had him voice Leonardo, which I felt they should have done in this film. Johnny Knoxville was awesome as Leonardo, but I felt Johnny Knoxville was too good for this film, and they should have let Pete Plozak, who not only did Leonardo's movements, but they should have at least gave him the benefit of the doubt and let him voice the character. And I'm glad they did that in the sequel. I like how they got motion capture performers to be the turtles, instead of putting them in rubber suits, because that way they could do all the stuff. They could do all the cool stunt work that you see. They could do all the cool stunt work that you see in the comics and cartoons, like the rooftop jumping, all the cool acrobatic maneuvers that they couldn't do in the original TMNT films. In the original TMNT films, they could barely move in the they could barely move in the outfits, and that made the fight scenes and the stunts look hokey. So here you saw several cool things like them sliding down the sewer, the snow chase scene, and of course the Titanic battle with Shredder, the Titanic battle with Shredder, and yeah, going back to the human characters, they made Vern Finwick a better character here than he was in the cartoon. In the cartoon, he was April O'Neil's rival, a glory hog, and was mostly a comedy relief who was against the turtles. Here, he's more of an ally to the turtles. And he's more useful. He's more useful on missions, helping April O'Neil take out William Fichtner's character, Aaron Sachs, Aaron Sachs, William Fichtner was awesome as Aaron Sachs. He was actually supposed to be Shredder, but him being cast as Shredder got so much negative feedback that Michael Bay made Shredder Japanese again, which the guy playing Shredder was awesome. However, I felt they should have stuck to what they originally planned because the one of the other problems I had with this film was you can tell they made several changes to the script during the production because this film has several plot holes. This film has several plot holes, and if they would have kept what they originally envisioned, the film would have probably made more sense, such as one scene where Shredder and the Foot invade the turtle sewers. When Splinter comes in contact with the Shredder, he immediately recognizes him as the Shredder, despite in this universe never meeting that Shredder before. But you can see earlier in the flashback where he's talking about Aaron Sachs, Eric Sachs, um, Eric Sachs and April O'Neil's father, he would recognize Eric Sachs, so that would have made much more sense for Eric Sachs to be Shredder than some Asian guy. And there was the other plot hole you can tell where at first it was April O'Neil's father, he died in a fire. Then later it was later revealed by Eric Sachs that he killed him by shooting him several times. Um, so yeah, they managed to make the human stuff good. And I like how they made this more realistic than the original three Turtles films. At first, I had a problem with them making the Turtles bulletproof and superhumanly strong. I still kind of have a problem with them being superhumanly strong. They could be bulletproof, but superhumanly strong. The problem I had with this was I had a problem with this up until I saw the film. If they're superhumanly strong, why do they have to feel threatened? Well, first off, the film explained this by them not knowing they were bulletproof until the end of the film, and of course, in this film, the Foot is a giant army that has a hold over New York City. So it would take something superhuman to dis- to take out and defeat the Foot in the cartoons and comics. I always thought it I always thought it was dumb how no one in those universes appeared to have guns. They all wanted the thugs, the Foot always wanted to fight with swords, knives, and weapons and martial arts, even though the Turtles and Casey can apparently do that better. Martial arts is good, but a gun outdoes martial arts any day, and I find it unrealistic how thugs who can obtain weapons easily don't have guns in that universe, but the police do. Actually, in the TMNT films, no one in that universe, with the exception of the police officers and Ryder and the villains of the third TMNT movies, have guns in that universe. So I like their origins here. Then I also like how since they learned martial arts from a book, they failed miserably when fighting the Shredder. Even though they're stronger than the Shredder, the Foot as a whole is much smarter, and Shredder himself, Orokisaki, was a much better martial artist than each of the turtles. So um, so yeah, like I said, I love the new story. The original movie wasn't believable. It wasn't believable that Shredder, like I said, without guns and stuff, could take over an entire city. Can have a hold over New York City. I like this plot um much better. I like this plot much better, and I also like the ending much better. After a Titanic battle with the turtles, Shredder knocks down the tower, and the turtles and in this film it took the turtles and a kick from April and a giant fall to defeat the Shredder. And like how in this film he survived and was arrested and taken arrested by the police instead of like in the first film where he gets crushed by a dumpster truck, somehow survives that, comes back in the second film, then he becomes Super Shredder and somehow dies dock by having a dock fall on him. When in the first film a normal Shredder could survive a dumpster truck crushing him. So I like how in this film they made it more realistic. He was, instead of killed, he was captured. He was arrested by the police and returned in the sequel. Like I said, I also love the soundtrack. You have Brian Tyler, the composer of Dragon Ball Evolution. He had a theme similar to the Goku theme from Dragon Ball Evolution, and of course the Superman theme. So yeah, like I said, awesome film. This was a film I initially hated, but like I said, it's one of my all-time favorite films. Now, like I said, I think this current Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film series is much better than the original three from the early '90s, and of course the comic books. I think the cartoons, particularly the '80s and the 2012, were the best from the TMNT franchise. And this film reminded me of the 2003 series because they're big and huge. They're big and muscular. Um, the 2012 series because they have different facial features and different clothing and cosmetics. And of course, it reminded me of the '80s cartoon. And like I said, this was a good reboot of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. Like I said, I love the look of the turtles. I love the look of the turtles. They look edgier, more realistic. They sweat. All the facial features, the jokes, the humor, everything was so much better here in this film than in the original Turtles on film. The only thing I like better about the original Turtles film versus this film, and they improved this in Out of the Shadows, was the original films managed to focus more on the turtles. But plot wise and everything else, I think this film destroys the original Turtles film, the original TMNT films, and the original comic books. All right, this was my review of the 2014 film. Now it's time for Out of the Shadows, the sequel. And this film, as I expected, this film was awesome. This film right here took everything that was good about the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles film and made it even better in this film. And everything that was bad, they either got rid of it, corrected it, or made it better in this film. This film added more depth. This film not only added more screen time for the turtles, but they added more depth to the turtles, with the turtles wanting to get out and see the world, wanting to fit in with the humans, and then that caused the turtles to be divided. You have Leonardo, who believes acceptance comes from within, who believe that they would never fit in with the humans and believe that they're ninjas and they should stay in the shadows. Then of course you had Raphael and Raphael and Michelangelo, who of course wanted to use the mutagen to become humans so they could fit in. Causing the turtles to be divided for pretty much the second half of the film. But they eventually all came to a conclusion to remain mutants, especially since they needed this. They needed this to survive survive in Krang. They needed to be mutants to survive in Krang's home world. Home world. So like I said, I love how they added more depth to the turtles, more screen time. The turtles were heavily redesigned. Love their new designs. However, I like their designs from the original TMNT film better, especially with Leonardo. In this new film, they all have biker shorts. They all have biker shorts in this film. I thought the biker shorts that would best suit Raphael, Raphael and Michelangelo more so than Leonardo. I wish they would have kept Leonardo's samurai look. But love their new appearance, and I love how this film was made more for fans for more for the fans of the original cartoon for the original cartoons. This film included several things from the cartoons, such as Baxter Stockman, and he was African American, just like he was in the comics, the 2003 series and the current series. Bebop and Rocksteady, who appear similar to their 2012 counterparts, and Casey Jones, who was heavily redesigned and has a brand new backstory for this film. Casey Jones, I love Stephen Amell as Casey Jones. However, I didn't like his character design in the film. They didn't make him really look like Casey Jones. While personality wise he acted like Casey Jones, look wise he looked like he just put on a hoodie, some street clothes, and got hockey gear and a hockey mask and came onto the set. He didn't wear like any shoulder pads or any knee pads, or he didn't wear the mask that much. So that was one disappointment. The other disappointment was Shredder. Shredder didn't do much in this film. I was ready to see the epic rematch between Shredder and the Turtles, and Shredder, he didn't do much in this film. And Bebop and Rocksteady, um, they didn't fight the Turtles as much as I thought they were in this film. That plane sequence was the only time they really fought each other. Was the only time they really fought each other. And that really wasn't that fight scene really wasn't that long. So that was another disappointment towards this film. But like I said, this film took everything that was good about the first one and made it better. In this film, all performances were great. I like how in this film, Peter Plozak, the guy who voiced Leonardo in the original, the guy did who who was motion who performed motion capture for Leonardo in the original film. I like how he got to voice Leonardo in this film. He got to voice Leonardo in this film. Like I said, Johnny Knoxville was awesome, but in my opinion, he was too good for these movies. And I felt the all of the motion capture artists, they did all the hard work performing stunts for these characters. They deserve to voice the characters, so I like that. Brian T replaces the original actor from the first film as Shredder. Love the original actor from the first film, but I think this guy, Brian T, I think this guy was much better. He was much more menacing. And Tyler Perry was awesome as Baxter Stockman. Baxter Stockman. And like I said, this film this film had some kick-ass action sequences. I love the final fight with Krang, and of course the airplane scene and the river scene with Bebop and Rocksteady, and the opening fight scene with the turtles fighting the Foot, and Casey taking on Bebop and Rocksteady, and Will Arnett and Vern and April O'Neil taking on Karai. However, this film, it didn't have as much action as the first one, so that was kind of another disappointment. Disappointment. Like I said, I also like how this film was different from all the other superhero films that were out. This film was more of a family film, while still not talking down the kids. Like I said, they added more depth to the turtles and still made it realistic with the turtles. During the scene where Casey and April provide a distraction for the turtles so they can escape, take the fall for the turtles. You see the humans react with fear and hatred towards the turtles, and yeah, I also like how Vern Fenwick in this film, he was even closer to his cartoon counterpart than he was in the first film. Than he was in the first film with him being a glory hog. That was pretty much the plot of the film. This film, another disappointment before I get to the story. Another disappointment was Eric Sachs. Was William Fish and Eric Sachs, because of his busy filming schedule, he couldn't return in this film. That was kind of a disappoint. That was another disappointment. But he did say he is open to returning if there's a sequel to this film. So far, box office wise, this film has grossed, has finally got above his budget with a budget of 130. It's already made 194.4 million dollars at the box office, and it's still opening in several places. So I hope it makes more money so we can get that third film. And after that third film, I hope if they ever do get that third film made, I hope the actors sign on for 3 more films, because I want to see more stuff. I want to see more stuff like Ratman, Slash, Leatherhead, and Lord Dread, the final antagonist of the '80s cartoon. I want to see more stuff. The Triceratons. So like I said, I want to see. Not only do I want to see the final film of this trilogy, I want to see another trilogy. I want to see like 6 films on the Turtle stuff, because there's so much stuff you can do with this franchise. So I hope the film continues to make its money back. It's already got above its budget, and like I said, this one, even though they got some negative reviews, this one was mixed, just like the original the first 2 Ninja Turtles film was. I read the reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, most people liked it, some people liked it, most people didn't. I'm pretty sure the audience review will be much higher. So yeah, plot of this film. The plot continues where the first one left off. The Shredder, Eric Sachs, and the Foot were all arrested. Um, the Turtles have allowed Vern to take the credit for defeating Shredder, and the film starts off with the Turtles entering a basketball game, but are forced to leave after Mikey accidentally spills his pizza. Meanwhile, April O'Neil is investigating Baxter Stockman, who she suspects might be working with the Foot to break Shredder out of jail. And she's right. Baxter Stockman is, and she uses Donatello's new watch to figure that out. And um, um, Shredder is being transported. To a prison by inside a truck by Casey Jones, and also he's being imprisoned with Bebop and Rocksteady. The Foot successfully managed to ambush Casey Jones and the driver and free Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady, but um, Shredder can't make it to Baxter Stockman, so Baxter Stockman brings the portal to him, and Shredder gets transported to Dimension X, where he meets the alien warlord Krang, who taunts him, and then forges an alliance with him when he tells Shredder that Baxter Stockman and Shredder have a couple of equipment of his that he sent to Earth 100 years in the past. He makes a deal with Shredder that if Shredder retrieves this equipment, it will open a portal. It will complete the Technodrome and open up a portal, which will allow the Technodrome to invade Earth, and both him and Shredder would rule the planet. Shredder accepts the agreement, but says that on Earth, 4 brothers will stop him, and Krang gives Shredder a new costume and some mutagen capable of mutating humans into their animal ancestors in the animal kingdom, and he uses this to mutate Bebop and Rocksteady, the 2 criminals who also escaped, into a warhog and a rhinoceros, respectfully. Before I continue, Seamus, and who was the guy who portrayed? Who is the guy? Sheamus, um, Sheamus, professional wrestler Sheamus and Gary Anthony Williams portrayed Rocksteady and Bebop respectfully. Bebop respectfully. Um, the First I'm gonna start off with the Gary Anthony Williams guy. He voiced Uncle Ruckus in the Boondocks, and Sheamus, of course, Sheamus is the professional wrestler. Sheamus is the professional wrestler. I love both of those guys. I love Sheamus much better as an actor than I do as a professional wrestler. He was awesome in this film. And Brad Garrett, he voiced Krang. He sounds just like Krang from the original '80s cartoon, and at first I thought it was him, but it's not him. It's not the original voice actor. But at first I thought it was him because he sounded just like him. And then of course I loved his new design. In the '80s cartoon, he had a wrestler like body. Here he has a body similar to the Jack 3 model from Tekken 3, which I also thought was cool. But continuing with the story, he uses that in after they retrieve the artifacts. After they retrieve the artifacts later in the film, Shredder turns on Bebop and Rocksteady and sends Bebop and sends I mean then turns on Baxter Stockman and sends him to his headquarters and Tokyo, transports him to his headquarters in Tokyo. There Shredder returns to Dimension X to rule the planet with Krang. Krang betrays him. Shredder attacks him and Krang frees him and locks him away in the chest with all his other defeated foes. And of course, the Turtles. And of course, April O'Neil sets up a meeting between the Turtles and the police officers who early in the film reacted with hatred and fear when they saw the Turtles. And and the Turtles here get the permission from police to take the fight to Krang on his home dimension, while Casey deals with Bebop and Rocksteady, and April O'Neil and Vern deal with Karai after a long chase. Casey Jones defeats Bebop and Rocksteady by tricking them and locking them in a crate and throwing a smoke bomb in there, and of course, April O'Neil and Vern Fenwick barely defeat the Foot and Karai, and the Turtles, after a long hard battle, defeat Krang by cutting off by with Leonardo cutting off his arm, cutting off his head, and Donatello sticking his staff in there, which ruins and severely injures Krang, forcing Krang to retreat, and the Turtles use a piece of Krang's ship to skateboard all the way back to their dimension, where they're giving keys to the city, and the film ends there. Like I said, this was an awesome film. It's slowly making back its budget. I hope it makes more money so we can get that third film. And like I said, I want to see more films. I want to see 6 films because there's so much stuff. There's so much material from the TMNT comics and cartoons that you can use in these films. And I like how it quickly managed to make back its budget. First, it was low. It opened up poor. At first it saw a strong opening, then it just kept going down. But they finally managed to get above their budget. And they now have made. At first it was 150, and in a short time it went from 150 to 188, and now it's 199, and now it's 194.44. So yeah, I hope it makes more money. And they still plan to open up in several key markets. So yeah, this right here, like I said, I just had to review both of these films again, and I'll do a video review, a longer video review of both of these films when the DVD of the Out of the Shadows comes out. All right, I'm done.